All right, it appears that Mr. Bundy has completed his press conference, and the sound and the visuals that we're viewing are a little disconcerting. However, I thought that he gave an excellent presentation, press conference, one of the best I've ever seen or heard, genuine to the core, honest, not faltering nor backing away from anything that he said, but simply explaining clearly what he meant. And I can tell you that he was absolutely 100% correct. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Everything that he said is true. Not one word that he said was a lie, nor was there any inference of a lie with respect to black people, his observations of black people living in subsidized housing in Las Vegas, sitting on the sidewalk without a porch and just kind of idling their lives away, and the men with nothing to do. They would be better off back in South Carolina or wherever else where they could have a home, their chickens around them and their children, and something to do each day. That's simply a question, which would be the better? And the answer is yes, they would be better off not being there. But the example of the Watts riot from East LA all the way out towards the beach, as he said, or the ocean, was a great example of blacks burning down their own neighborhoods, and the mindset that would incite such or have that take place was dead on. And then he explains that he was guarded by two cars of blacks who were guardian angels that saw him through the freeway on his way back to Nevada. Great examples. He has no hatred for black people. He's just wondering, would they be better off under the circumstances that preceded the present mindset of civil rights, the African-American identity, and other things? Because the runaway abortions that he made mention of, that's true. There's no denying that. Not even the New York Times would venture to deny that blacks abort their children in barbaric fashion. Neither would the New York Times deny the fact that black men go to prison and the homes are headless and women are struggling trying to raise families. And the New York Times would not even dare try to refute that truth. Are black people better off today than they were? And again, I want you to reference my article written a couple of years ago where I emphatically stated that we were better off when we were Negroes. And let me give some context. I picked cotton. I worked on a farm. I worked on the plantation. And picking cotton and working on the plantation, as difficult and hard labor as it might be, but picking cotton on the plantation caused me to come up out of the cotton fields and to come to New York and get a job at the prestigious Bankers Trust. I never even went in a bank when I was in North Carolina because I had no money. My mama, my daddy had no money. But I got a job working in the credit department, the loan department of the Bankers Trust Company at 753rd Avenue, pretty much just up out of the cotton fields. But it was that cotton field experience that gave me the integrity and the work ethic to be able to maintain that job and to show up with a clean face and a right attitude. I walked out of the Bankers Trust on lunch break one day and walked into an employment agent's office and said, I want a better job. They said, well, we got just a job for you. They sent me up to the elite Scarsdale, New York, to the Procter & Gamble regional office. I applied for a job, and over a period of 6 months of testing and other kinds of things, I got hired perhaps by the most prestigious job of anybody from Red Springs, North Carolina, black or white, had ever held. But it was the work ethic that I developed in the cotton field. It was the respect for humanity. It was the fact that I had a father and a mother in the home, and we went to church all as a family, and that we eschewed evil and we loved God, that they were able to determine at Bankers Trust and Procter & Gamble and other places that I worked, that I had the kind of ethics and the morality and the ability to do those companies well. What I've noticed is that young people are unable to get employed today because they don't have the morality. And yes, picking cotton and hard work has never hurt anybody. It only helps. It builds strength and it builds character. We've got to stop these damn liberals from running to the aid of the person who is on government subsidies and telling them that they need more subsidies, using the New York Times and the Washington Post and the ABC News and the MSNBCs and all those others, and the national NAACP, destroying the fiber and the character of black men and women. And now they're in such a state of delusion. They're unemployable. They don't have the right kinds of ethics. They have been raised in a generation of government subsidies. They're not able to go into the business place and fit in as I did as a clean-cut boy coming up out of North Carolina. And let me state this, is that when I started listening to the rhetoric that it was spewed from the NAACP, Adam Clayton Powell, Rap, Brown, Stokely, Carmichael, and Malcolm X, and all of that crowd, I abandoned my ethics that my father taught me and what the whole community of North Carolina inbred in me by working hard and seeking to do something with my life to make my family and my nation proud. I never once heard my father utter a bad word against America, though he grew up a sharecropper and raised me as the same. When I stopped listening to my father's advice and my mother's wisdom, I then fell into the same trap that millions of black men and women and babies and children are in at this very moment. So I know I've got context. Don't anybody, anywhere, at any time try to refute or try to in any way marginalize what I'm saying or racialize what I'm saying by calling me a racist and a hater. I've got context. I've lived a life. I know it firsthand. And Cliven Bundy is absolutely right, and he hit a grand slam home run today in that interview. I simply ask one thing of you. As we're planning to go to Gettysburg, people are going to pick up now as I appeal to black people in cities and around America to participate and say, I support that racist Cliven Bundy. Cliven Bundy is no racist. He's a man of compassion. You know, only a person with compassion would ask the question, are you doing better now sitting on the sidewalks in a government subsidized house of Las Vegas? Or would you rather be back in South Carolina with a garden where you can go out and eat fresh tomatoes right out of the field? Or you can go and eat your vegetables right out of the field, grow your own cucumbers and have your own chickens and your own hogs. And are you better off now? That's a man of compassion who's looking at, rather than the liberal pimps of racism who continue to state that you need more weakness, more government subsidies, more aimless and listless lives. My friend, we've got a major problem. That's why we need to go to Gettysburg. But don't let any of this negative talk that would now fly up from the pinch-nosed Negro to try to destroy our work at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. My friends, I salute, not only stand with, but I salute Cliven Bundy. What a mighty press conference we just viewed.